Thank you all so much for joining us on this fifth on our fifth installment of the Sustaining Practices for Perilous Times series. My name is Rabbi Jen Queen. I'm the Director of Engagement and Reform Rabbi at Harvard Hillel. And we are so thrilled for y'all to join us. So this is a series featuring Harvard Chaplains and other members of our Harvard community, offering insight into their personal, diverse, multimodal spiritual practices that have sustained them and given them hope and energy and courage to press forward through these fractured and difficult days. We're defining spiritual practice very broadly, and we're thrilled this evening to feature a number of folks sharing their embodied practice with us. So without further ado, I will kick it to my partner, Rachel, for introducing our panelists tonight.
Yes, hello. We're so excited this week to not only not have two, as we've been having, but actually have four presenters. So it's going to be great. We'll be hearing first from Rita Powell, who is the Episcopal Chaplain, and Meredith Wade, who is also working in the Episcopal Chaplaincy at Harvard. And then we'll be hearing from Nina Bryce, who is the Director of Wellness and Self-Discovery, and Abby McElroy, who's a student in the college. And it's just a really amazing lineup of folks. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Rita and Meredith.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Nice to see some of you. My name is Rita, and the practices that we thought we would talk about tonight, one of the things that we've been really interested in the chaplaincy in general is thinking about how dance and movement are really good and important practices. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing tonight is some dancing, and you'll see there'll be a moment when there'll be music playing. And I just invite you, I know like Zoom is so weird in so many ways, but like, please turn off your video if you want, and like, just go ahead and maybe rock out a little bit during the dance section. All right, just feel free to do that. Really important idea that dance is not primarily about performance, which is one way we've calibrated it culturally, or even about the aesthetics of it, although that's also an important element, but really it's about moving, and it's about being a little bit silly in this case tonight. Another huge element for the chaplaincy over the last year has been Meredith and my developing passion for BTS, the K-pop supergroup. And so the music that we'll be featuring tonight is from BTS. And BTS has also ushered us into the strange and wonderful world of Korean variety shows, which some of you may have experience with, in which many things are happening at once. And we felt like the kind of, in this time of increasing confinement and isolation, that doing things which are absurd and silly are part of what we have been finding very liberating, particularly with Zoom, where there's so much kind of serious, confined to a rectangle energy. We felt that we would try to inhabit something for you today that is distinctively not that. So to help us out a little bit is one of our assistants. This is Juliet, my daughter, who is also an accomplished K-pop dance aficionado. She will be accompanying us with some chaotic sound effects periodically, just to get the mood right. The last thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a little bit of a cook-off. So Meredith and I are going to, with the ingredients that we have available to us in our kitchen right now, try to make something in approximately 8 minutes. So we're going to see how that goes. Now, there's a serious element to cooking for me as a spiritual practice, in which being connected to ingredients of the earth are a significant way of feeling just connected to the earth and to the world, as well as the sheer satisfaction of engaging physically in things in my house and kitchen. And of course, eating is just not a spiritual practice maybe, but it's a great thing that happens multiple times a day. And when we draw our attention to it, it can kind of become more rich. So I'm going to say what I'm going to cook, and then I'm going to turn it over to Meredith and see what Meredith would like to say about our crazy scheme today. But I'm going to try to cook something from this amazing cookbook, which is Indian Cooking at Home. I'm going to try to make Indian cheese toasts, okay, in 8 minutes while dancing to K-pop. Mer, what would you like to say about this assortment of practices?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you captured it pretty well. I would say that both dancing and experiencing music and also cooking are like serious spiritual practices for me. And so I'm excited to like combine them in a sort of like silly way to like challenge that, but not necessarily take away the spirituality of it. And I would also invite you, if you want, if you feel so moved during our presentation, if you want to turn your camera off or leave it on and like dance along, like please do. I really have been missing like sharing spiritual practices with people in the same space. So I invite you to like lean into that in whatever way you feel inspired. And I'm gonna be trying to make pasta, which is definitely not gonna happen in 8 minutes, but we're gonna see. I'm practicing an Advent orientation towards preparation, and you know, it's about the journey and not the destination. So we're gonna see where that takes us.
Nice. Okay, and you're gonna play some music for us, Meredith, is that right?
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
So.
Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong. This is dead heavy, can't hit the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beat treat like money. This go all alone, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm diamond, you know I glow. Hey, so let's go. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so we bring the fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, bring a friend, join the crowd, whoever wanna come along. Word up, talk, just move right up the wall. Day or night, sky's the light, so we dance to the break of dawn. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the medicine, so you should keep your eyes on the ball. This is getting heavy, hit the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beat treat like money. And this go overload, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm down, you know I glow. And let's go, 'cause I'm in the stars tonight, so we bring the fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Life is dynamite. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Life is dynamite. Shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Light it up, dynamite. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Light it up, dynamite. 'Cause I'm in stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night alight. Shining through the city with a little fucking soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. This is so watch me bring the fire, set the night alight. Shining through the city with a little fucking soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite.
Oh, look at that.
Meredith, what do you have going on?
I have a whole pile of garlic over here, peeled, and just added some pasta to the water. Very exciting.
Right.
Where are you guys at? What's going on?
And I am, and then yeah, she's worth it, and then I think I'm gonna put some cheese on top.
Thanks. Yeah, let's get some more sound effects.
Yeah, 이런 나를 쓰네. Yeah, 이건 나를 위한 노래. 우리끼리 즐겨보자 함께 쭉 가는 푸른 바다 한가운데 작은 섬 비록 지금은 멀어졌어도 우리 마음만은 똑같잖아 내 곁에 네가 없어도 yeah 내 곁에 내가 없어도 yeah 우리 함께인 걸 다 알잖아 하루를 종일 너를 만날 때까지 난 행복해 일상 그 속에 너란 사람은 내게 가장 특별해 아침들 불처럼 일어나 거울처럼 난 너를 봐 눈곱 대신 너만 묻었다 잔뜩도 무겁다 몸만은 무릎아 거를 거리며 생각해 별이 허락해주는 우리의 거리 Oh can I be your Beverly Hills like you did the same to me 넌 빠른 건 조금 위험해 너무 느린 건 조금 지루해 너무 빠르지도 않게 또는 느리지도 않게 우리의 속도에 맞춰 가보자고 이건 꽤나긴 즐거운 롤러코스터 비록 지금은 멀어졌어도 우리 마음만은 똑같잖아 내 곁에 네가 없어도 yeah 네 곁에 내가 없어도 yeah 우리 함께인 걸 다 알잖아 매번 같은 하루를 종일 너를 만날 때까지 난 행복해 매번 다른 일상 그 속에 너란 사람은 내게 가장 특별해
All right, let's see. That's the end of our time. What did we make? What do you got, Mary?
Listen, it's about the journey. It's not about the destination. You can see my pasta is still boiling.
Nice.
This one is empty. Garlic in it eventually, and that's what matters.
Okay, well, I have here the fine broiled cheese toast.
It's so beautiful.
Now we're gonna eat them. So yeah, so there you have it. Thanks for our 10 minutes of crazy together.
I hope you were able to find some fun and chaos and joy in that.
Thank you all. That was so wonderfully joyful. I feel like I was at a cooking party and also a dance party.
Nice.
And so I will pass it over now to Nina and Abby.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you so much, Rita and Mare and Rita's awesome companion. That was just so wonderful. I feel very joyful. And we're going to shift gears a little bit here. First, Abby and I are going to introduce ourselves, and then we'll each lead a practice and share a little bit about what the practice kind of means to us. So just brief intros. I'm Nina, and I work in kind of wellness-related areas, both at the FYE and also in residential life in the house system. So I'm really excited to be sharing with you all a little bit about meditation. And yeah, I'll just leave it there.
Beautiful. I want to echo Nina's thank you. That was very fun. I haven't danced in a while, so I enjoyed that so much. And yeah, hi everybody. My name is Abby. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I am a sophomore at the college, although I'm currently on leave just because of COVID. And I was super involved in mindfulness, both when I was in high school and also when we were on campus, which was super lovely. I got to spend a lot of time with Nina. And over the summer, I was able to get certified to teach Crow mindfulness. And this semester, I've had the joy of leading a Tuesday night sit for the Center for Wellness. And then I'm also super involved with interfaith work and some interfaith organizations on campus. So Nina and I will touch on some of those things.
Yeah, thanks, Abby. And I should just mention a couple of things just by way of kind of how we got here. I was so excited to hear about this series. Having worked with Rabbi Jen and Rachel both a little bit prior to this, I just think it's such an important program. And Rachel and I were classmates at the Divinity School. And so just wanted to give a shout out to the Div School and just kind of thank you all again for having us. this evening. So we're gonna shift gears a little bit, but sometimes meditation gets this reputation for being super serious and like silent and sitting with your back up straight and there's no silliness or whimsy. And I think that is not the whole story. So hopefully we can carry some of the lightness and joy of dancing and cooking into our sitting meditation practice. And as Abby and I were thinking about how to share some of these practices with you all today, we thought, and actually Abby had this idea, I want to give credit where credit is due, that it might be best to really start with practice. So we'll just begin by going into a short guided sit. And after the practice, I'll share a little bit about the practice we just did. And then Abby will lead us in a different form of meditation, and then she'll share about that one. So we're going to do a little sit, chat for the next 10 minutes. And it's all optional. I say this every time I lead meditation or yoga or any contemplative practice. Do what feels right to you and leave the rest. And yeah, I do a lot of mindfulness on Zoom, and sometimes video on is great because you can see each other and there's a kind of community vibe. And sometimes video off is great. It's kind of like dancing, right? Sometimes you want to be with others in it, and sometimes you want to be in your own space. So I'll guide us in like a 2 to 3 minute mindfulness of breathing exercise, and do what's best for you in terms of video on or off. And you can sit any way that's comfy for your body. I like to sit with my feet both planted on the floor, so it gives me kind of a stable foundation if I'm in a chair. And just sitting in a way where you can sense a bit of alertness in the back, being a little bit upright, but not tense or rigid. There's also a relaxation. And your eyes can be open or closed. If they're open, just dropping the gaze away from the screen. And just taking a moment to soften the shoulders back and down, let the jaw and throat relax. Sense the belly and chest softening. Just giving ourselves a moment to arrive. And in this practice, we'll simply turn our attention towards the breath, which is always already happening. You can just become aware of it. Breathing in, I know this is an in-breath. Breathing out, I know this is an out-breath. We don't need to breathe any particular way or make anything special happen. I'm just observing the felt sense of the breath moving in and releasing out. You might notice it at the nostrils, or maybe it's the belly where it's felt. Just getting curious. How do I know an inhale is happening? What are the sensations? And then how do I know the exhale is happening? How does it feel different? Really releasing all the out breath, exhaling completely. Breathing in through the nose, sensing that filling and expansion. And breathing out completely, slowly, gently. Just taking one more breath here, whatever kind of breath would feel good to you. Maybe finding some pleasure, some enjoyment, some ease. Long or short, deep or shallow, fast or slow. Just what would feel like a really good breath. And as you're ready, beginning to transition out of the formal meditation practice, just gently opening the eyes. If they were closed, you can blink the eyes to open and then lift the gaze and just kind of look around your space, move the body. And notice you're still breathing. The breath is actually still there, even when the meditation ends. So thank you for your willingness to try that out. You've probably taken a lot of breaths today, and maybe those 5 or 10 were the ones you noticed the most. I know for me, breath is often totally not on my radar. And Yeah, meditation can take so many forms. So Abby and I are not here to tell you what meditation needs to mean to you, but just to share a little bit about what it means to us. So I'll share, I think the chat just got a link dropped in it, our resource sheet. And I was like, let's not put a lot of text in there. It's a short and sweet session. We'll keep it simple. And then we were both like, oh, what about this one and that one? We shared a lot of texts, knowing that we would guess, because this is a chaplains hosted event, a community of folks that might be self-selecting in terms of having a real interest in how this practice of sitting in silent meditation has roots in multiple religious traditions. So we really wanted to give kind of a glimpse of some of what's meaningful for us there. So if you want to take a look at the sheet, you can, or you can open it and take a look at it later. And I'll just share a little bit from it that's important to me, and then I'll toss it over to Abby in a moment. But just to share from my own story, I have been doing the practice we just did, sitting, being mindful of the breath, more than half my life, most of my life. I was really fortunate to be raised in a family of meditators. I was raised Jewish and Buddhist, and my parents were really avid practitioners of meditation in both traditions. And it's been a really important resource for me throughout my life. So I wanted to share a couple of the Buddhist and Jewish texts that have really inspired me with that practice in particular. And the first one I wanted to share is the shortest one on the first page. I won't read them all out loud because that would not be, I think, a wise use of our time. But one that I love is this simple quote: "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." This is from one of my beloved teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Vietnamese Zen master, and I had the good fortune to sit retreat with him before he had a stroke. He's very elderly now and not teaching anymore. He is still living, and his communities are awesome, really amazing places to go meditate. But I went there and got to study with him. And yeah, that quote to me is just such a beautiful representation of how breath can ground us and tether us amidst the feelings of clouds all across the sky of life, of which there are no shortage right now. So I wanted to share that quote, one from the Buddhist tradition that means a lot to me. And I thought from the Jewish side, I would just share this one quote that isn't about meditation, but I think it's very important to me in this practice. It's a very early verse from Genesis, Bereshit. "The Lord God formed man from the dust of the earth. He blew into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being." And to me, I remember being in Hebrew school when I was 6 and learning about that and being like, God in your nostrils, like, this just blew my mind. So when I do breathing meditation, mindfulness of the breath in the nostrils, I experience that resonance of what's in the Jewish tradition often called ruach, spirit or breath, literally like the spirit of divinity being the breath, the air moving through us. And holy breath, ruach hakodesh, is a really important concept for me in my Jewish faith life. So just wanted to share those two quotes, and there's a lot more on the sheet. We put in like dozens of quotes about meditating, but it's been important to me. I studied at the Divinity School and took some Christian contemplative prayer classes with Stephanie Paulsell, learned about Christian meditation. My spouse is Muslim, and I've done some Muslim meditation at retreats in that context. And yeah, I just think it's a beautiful aspect of spiritual life, and happy to have the chance to share more from my traditions with y'all. And I'll pass it over to Abby.
Thank you so much, Nina. So the practice I had wanted to share today was a loving kindness practice. This is something I found meditating a little bit difficult during quarantine. We're all home, we're all in our spaces. It's hard to turn off as far as work goes, as far as centering and calming. But loving kindness is something where whenever I do a loving kindness practice, I come out of it feeling those things that I've found hard to grasp, and especially feeling connected, because I think loving kindness is all about finding the connections between you and everyone else on this beautiful world and wishing them love and all the wonderful things that everyone deserves. So if folks will bring themselves back into their meditation for another brief practice. And I'm going to stop my video. Just as a rule, I always turn off my video when I'm sitting. So I'll invite you all to settle back into your meditation position and just gently close your eyes. As you feel yourself relax, bring to mind the image of someone you love. Imagine them standing next to you and say to them, "May you be happy.
May you be healthy. May you know joy and love and peace. Know that they too love you and wish for you to be happy and healthy. And now, see if you can take your love and well wishes for this loved one and extend them out to all humans. For they too are beloved by someone just like you. They too are human. They too deserve happiness and health. Imagine the world small enough to fit into your hands and wish, may all be happy. May all be healthy. May all know joy and love and peace. Notice how it feels to offer loving kindness to the people around you. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Thank you all so much. Even just leading a practice, I always feel myself get very happy. Again, loving kindness is definitely my happy meditation. And just as Nina did, I'm going to talk pretty briefly, because I know we're running low on time, about how my meditation practice started and also how it relates to my own spiritual practices. So I started meditating in my sophomore year of high school, and I was really struck. This was a program that my school had started. They got a grant from the state of Pennsylvania, and I was really struck by how much calmer I felt. And when I started meditating on my own and more regularly, I was really struck by how quickly I started feeling benefits as far as stress go, but also as far as patience goes and extending grace towards folks in my life. And so I really was really grateful for this meditation practice. And at the same time, in the beginning of my sophomore year, I also began attending Quaker meetings. And these are practices that are held in silence. And they felt very similar, but different from meditation in equally important ways. And specifically related to loving kindness practice, at the end of Quaker meeting, we have a moment for group prayer, which we call holding in the light. So folks can stand and mention people or situations who they'd like to be held in the light, and then the meeting as a whole holds these individuals. And the light is that of God, which Quakers believe is within everyone. And basically, when you're practicing when you're holding folks in the light, it's very similar to loving kindness. You're imagining that they're surrounded by light, and you're wishing for them happiness and health, and to be guided and surrounded by that light. So actually, the first time that I ever practiced loving kindness in school, I imagined that light was traveling between me and my friend who was sitting next to me, who I was wishing these thoughts to. So I think of them very close together for me. And yeah, just also being a part of the interfaith community, as Nina mentioned, meditation shows up in so many different faiths and so many different practices. And something that's really cool is learning how meditation shows up in similar ways, but also in really different ways, and how the purpose and intention of them is really different. And so it was very cool as we were putting together the guide sheet to get to read a little bit more and learn a little bit more about some different faiths and the way that they practice meditation. So yeah, I will kick it back to Nina if she has anything else to say, or to Jen and Rachel.
Yeah, just last thing. Thank you so much, Abby. It's such a joy to get to co-present with you. And that was a beautiful practice. Last thing about our sheet is, in addition to the texts, the religious texts about meditation, there's a little list of resources at the end for exploring guided practices and learning about meditation on your own, apps and resources at Harvard. So feel free to check that out.
Amazing. Thank you again to Rita and Meredith and Nina and Abby for sharing your embodied practices. And I hope that everyone who is here was able to glean something valuable from these incredibly deep and meaningful practices, both that express like our joy and energy outward or cultivate it inward. They are, I felt like this presentation was so beautifully balanced in offering a little bit of everything I needed for today. So thank you all so much. I hope y'all can join us next week. The link will be the same. Next week will be the last iteration of the Sustaining Practices series, and we are very excited to welcome David Heckendorn from the InterVarsity Chaplaincy, and Stephanie Paulsell, the current interim PUC minister at Memorial Church. Thank you all so much for being here, and have a wonderful evening. Stay healthy, y'all.